have certainly been there. Just nervous, scared, afraid, procrastinating, putting it off. Those are some things that I want to banish with you today, shaking off the fear of taking your clinical exam. Before we jump into the tough love, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get all the updates about when I post a new video or new short or just new stuff, new posts, things like that. If you have watched any of the other videos on this playlist for grad students or social work students in general, then you know that my #1 tip is to take the licensing exam before you even graduate. That is how I took it. I actually applied to sit for the exam in early May while I was still completing my degree. And then once I got my degree, I was able to test over the summer. No surprise there that the motivation is gonna be super low because you just finished a grueling 2-year, sometimes plus, program in social work, and that is a lot. Although it is a great accomplishment, it does burn you out from even cracking open a book. So if you're in this particular situation about to complete your semester and graduate, congratulations, but motivation to kind of keep going is gonna drop substantially. So it's almost like the idea of momentum. With momentum, it's harder to get started if you stop. So if you see graduation as the finish line, then of course, naturally, your body, your mind, your heart and soul is gonna wanna just stop, and as it should, but this is why I'm saying schedule your exam early on. This takes me into another point, which is don't think that this exam is just something that is happening every single week and something you can just walk into. Partly, this is why the motivation level drops to even apply to sit for the exam in the first place. Applying for an exam doesn't quite make sense. Anything we don't want to do, of course, all these extra steps can really deter us more than if it was easy as just walking into an exam site. So for motivation purposes, please do not see graduation as the finish line. I know that sounds a little contradictory, but you really want the finish line to be that licensing exam and that pass. When you set your expectation there, then you know that it's not done. Once you cross the stage, you know that there's still another level to go. And if you are tuning in from Texas or hoping to move to Texas, please know that Texas is a title protected state. So not just anyone can call themselves a social worker. They had to have gone to an accredited program in social work and pass the licensing exam. Our license is something that is renewed every 2 years. There's some pros and cons to this. For me, I am on the pro side. It honestly protects the field of social work. For me, I hear so many sad and scary stories coming out of California. At this point in time when I'm recording this video, California is not a title protected state. That means they can post a social work job and hire whoever they want. They don't have to necessarily be social workers. And this is very detrimental to our field because yes, although there are some people that don't necessarily need the degree, or maybe they have the degree and they don't have the license and they're awesome. And I know some of y'all are out there, but some bad eggs, as in every field, has bad eggs, bad apples. They're what cause a lot of times the stigma of an unprofessional social worker. So I am pro title protection. I'm in Texas, so it doesn't matter anyway. I need that license to be hired in any legitimate social work job, and so will you if you're also residing in Texas. So please see the licensing exam, that pass for the licensing exam, as the finish line, not your graduation date. I told you this video was gonna be a little bit of tough love, but I say it because I truly care about y'all, especially if you're watching this. I know that you're wanting to go into social work and you're wanting that motivation to take the exam. Sometimes we need to hear it that way. When I did answer this question for my follower and friend on Instagram, I did share more of my inspirational thought. I am asked all the time how I stay motivated. I am very, very sentimental, and when I am afraid to take something like an exam or do a presentation or put myself out there, push out of my comfort zone for whatever reason, when I'm feeling that fear, I really go back to my why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for me, for social work, I have shared this in a longer video, one of my favorite videos. And I did this at the height of the pandemic when social work was kind of trending in not such a great way. There's a lot of social work bashing. That's part of the reason why I started my social work channel, was to really destigmatize our field, who we are, what we do every day, because we truly do make a difference. It is not a job that doesn't fulfill you. I will tell you that. At the core of my why are the students, the families that don't have that support in their life. And yes, there's a lot of clients out there that just do not have someone to talk to and someone to listen to them and give them that space. So when I find myself afraid to take a test, I remind myself that my client didn't have the luxury to sit in 2 years of classwork and learn about child development and learn about family dynamics and different theories to improve upon the livelihood of themselves or others. They didn't have that ability to do that, that luxury to do that. I did. My path, my journey allowed me to take 2 years out of my life and study and learn and buy books and be taught by the best of the best. And it's time for me to give back. If this is you as well, you are just about to finish 2 years of grad school or 4 years of undergrad, you are blessed. That was a luxury. Now it's time to give back and share what you know. Don't keep that locked in your head just because you're afraid to take an exam. Show what you know. Get that license and start applying it. So I started off with a little bit of tough love and giving you my heart to heart on why you need to take this exam and do it soon. But I know that it's easier said than done. So I want to give some real quick tips. The first thing is, after you schedule your exam, please take as many practice exams as you can. I would start with 1 practice exam, mock the exam site as much as possible. That means set a timer, the exam is timed, and keep to that timer. Eliminate all distractions, just you and the exam, and go through the exam. Use the whole time frame. See how far along you get. Do not stop, do not get interrupted, silence everything, 0 distractions. I just want to say that again because it's so crucial to try to simulate, so to speak, the exam site. After you mock the exam and take your very first exam, grade yourself. Look through. Do not get hung up on the right answers and why right away. Just give yourself a grade. Be very neutral, give yourself a grade, and then go back and review what sections, what areas were you really lost? What areas were you not able to even use context clues or process of elimination or anything like that to figure out the answer? Those are the areas, those are your weak points that you need to be studying. I would not go back and study from start to finish the whole exam guide, the whole exam booklet. And of course, this is me. We're all different out there, but this is my strategy because the added stress of going through a big booklet and trying to find time to do that and trying to find the motivation to do that, for me, it never came, especially once you are working. If you have a family, it's just going to be very, very difficult. So I would much rather study where I know my gaps are. Put the time that I have towards the areas that I already know are my weakest. That is my biggest thing. It makes no sense to study what you already know. That might feel really good and motivating for you, like pat yourself on the shoulder, but it's not helping you improve that score overall. You really need to be studying what your gaps were. For me, it was medication. I needed to brush up on my medication. And child development was in the bag, theories were in the bag. When I took the exam, my master's level exam, because yes, there's 2 exams and I've taken both. The master's level exam does have a lot of clinical component to it. That means there is some questions about diagnosis and assessment. It's supposed to be a generalist exam, but it's really not. It is what it is. So I would definitely see if that's a gap for you, and if it is, start studying some of the diagnoses and assessment, some of those theories for clinical social work. So yes, my first practical tip is to go ahead and mock the exam experience, see how you do on it, grade yourself, and then go back and study your gaps. Spend a good amount of time studying your gaps and then take another mock exam. Take another practice test, see how you do that time. I honestly think 2 or 3 tests should be good enough. The reason why it's important to take multiple tests is because you want to get used to the format, the types of questions, and how long it's going to take you to read through and get through the entire test. So that's why I would really spend most of my time taking mock exams, practice tests as much as possible. So when you get into the exam site, you're good to go. Number 2, know where the exam site is. Once it's scheduled, make sure you know exactly where you're going. Don't try to figure it out the day of. That's gonna bring your stress and anxiety levels up. And of course, without a clear head, it's gonna be really hard to perform your best on the test. Didn't mean to rhyme, but I like it, I'm not gonna lie. So just be sure that you are definitely aware of where you're going and on time. Again, stress, we don't want any of that on the morning of the exam. Make sure you take a sweater with you. It can get kind of cold and you want to be comfortable in there. Take your ID. Make sure you have the things that you need to be able to take that exam, because any bump in the road is going to make you want to give up and not do it. I know that's how I am. So be prepared before you get there. If you have any exam tips and advice, share them with the audience here in the comments. I love this community. I can't wait to chat with you more. Until next time, I'm wishing you social work success. Bye, guys.